Hello everyone, welcome back. In my last video, we have discussed about the state and transition messages. Now, we will use this message during our validation. In this video, we first go through or we can say we will revise the validation theory which we have discussed during the manage scenario. After that, we will implement the validation in travel, booking and booking supplement and how it will make the difference when we raise one message from the travel, booking and booking supplement. We will see, and we will see how it will be impacted on the UI side as well. So let's get started. As we discussed in my manage scenario, the validations are the optional part of the business object which will validate the data before saving in the database. Validations will trigger by the framework during the save sequence. As I told you in my unmanaged scenario, the save sequence have two parts: early save sequence and late save sequence. So validations always trigger at the end of the early save sequence before entering to the late save sequence. Once we do the validations, still we have chance that we can return back to the screen, or user can correct the data and come back till the validations. And once the validations done, we will enter in the late save sequence. We don't have any chance to come back again to the screen, or either the data will be saved in the late save sequence or we will get the dump. So very important thing, how to define the validations. This is the syntax. We have to give the validation keyword, validation name, and always it will save during the save sequence. So on save, we can't write on modify because there is no validation during the modify or sequence, or we can say transition phase. We only have the validation during the save sequence. So on save it will be there, and you have to define when those validations should trigger during the create, update and delete operations, or if some field gets changed, that time you want to trigger, that also you can define here. We have to implement these validations in the behavior pool class, obviously, and these are the important thing which we have already discussed in manage scenario. We can't define an execution order of the validations which are triggering on the same conditions. If you have multiple validations, those will be randomly on the same triggering condition. If you have multiple validations, those will trigger randomly. So we don't have any control. This validation will trigger first and this one will trigger second. And we should not write any modify statement, or modify statement not allowed at all, because the validations just used for the validation purpose, not for the modify business object. If you want to modify anything, then you have to write your code in the determination, not in the validations. And obviously we are doing the validations, so there will be the two important parameter or interface parameter will be there, where we will be having this report and field structure. Those we have to fill. That also we will see in the practical part. The most important thing, again I am repeating, these validations will trigger. There are three things. If you want to do the validation during the unmanaged scenario, you can see the here, then you have to write your validations in the check before save method. You can call your existing method which is used for the validations. Those method or function module or legacy code in an unmanaged scenario we use usually. If you don't have, you can write here code as well. So you can write here in the check before save. In the manage scenario, the manage check before save will be run by the framework, and after if we define any validation, those validation will trigger in the manage scenario by the framework one by one, all the validation, if the triggering condition get matched. After this thing, this is the early save sequence. After this thing, we will enter in the late save sequence. We will not able to come back to the transition phase back once all the validations is done. That is the thing I wanted to explain in my previous slide. One important thing, apart from this thing, during the check before save method, validation will trigger. Apart from that, the validation can trigger using the determine action. That is very important. If you define some side effect and you are using inside the side effect determine action, so those will be what it will do. It will reload the screen messages, basically the state messages which is saved in the database along with the transition state. Those will be reloaded. So that also we will see once we convert this application in the draft application. This is more about the draft, this determine actions, side effect along the validation. So we will convert this application in my next video, and onwards in the draft there we will see in the detail. The next thing in this video, we will quickly implement 1 2 2 we can say validation for each entity, 2 for the travel, 2 for the booking, and 2 for the booking supplement. So without wasting the time, let's jump into the system. We will implement two validation for the travel entity, 2 for the booking, 2 for the booking supplement, because we want to see how to raise the message from the child and grandchild entity as well, that we didn't see during the manage scenario, that we will see here, and how we can, what is the state message, how to generate from that particular, how to make any message as a state message, that also we will see. So without wasting the time, let's jump into the system. We will create these validations in the system. Before going to the validations implementation, I just want to show you something. Yesterday when I logged in my Eclipse, I was not able to log in. I was getting this error. The error called you were successfully authenticated, but an error occurred during the service instance logon. Please ensure that you have a user for the service instance. Somehow in my trial account at the cloud, my user ID got deleted, or I think SAP refreshed the system. Due to that user ID got deleted. That is the reason I'm not able to log in with that user ID in my trial account. So I got frustrated. So what I have to do, I have already backed up my code previously. Whenever end of the day, whenever I do something lot, I will back up my code somewhere else in the Eclipse. How to do that, I already shown you in my 10.1 video of this particular series. I already have backed up. What I did, I went to my travel account, BTP trial account. I went in my trial, and inside the trial, what I did, I deleted my ABAP instance and the key for the particular instance, and I have recreated that. The disadvantage of that, whatever I did in my coding, that all gone. And if you go to here, instance and subscriptions, and you have to go to your ABAP instance, if there will be one instance, ABAP instance, you have to come here and delete it. It will delete the key as well, and this also, and I have recreated. My entire account got when all the spec keys and all, everything gone. So anyway, I don't need, anyway I have everything backed up in my GitHub as well, and in my local PC as well. So I recreated each and every object again, but it is the same status what we left in my last week video. So now I can start with my validation part. To start with the validation, again we don't want to create the line by line code, because we have done a lot of time, most of the time, loop, EML statement, read statement, and modify statement. Nothing else is there. But I just want to explain what messages, especially how to raise from the booking, supplement, and booking. So that is the reason, and how to create the state messages. That concept I want to explain. For that, validation is must. So first we will start with the travel. So my first validation will be the customer ID. So for making the validation, you have to make the field mandatory. Once you make any field mandatory, on the screen level it will show as a asterisk, red asterisk, and user will know that this field is mandatory. But the validation not happen in backend even you enter wrong value. Control C. Let me do this validation. First, let me make this particular field as a mandatory. Let me do it the and only. So after the side effect, we are discussing the, so I can do here itself. The customer ID field is mandatory. And second thing, I have to write the validation. This is simple validation syntax, validation name, and on which condition it should trigger. So during the create it should trigger, and whenever the customer ID field gets changed, then it should trigger. Let me control F3 and do control 1. You have to do control 1 on your travel entity, or here itself control 1, and implement this particular method. Again, it's a very simple code which I have explained in many scenario. Customer ID validation we did in the many scenario, but still I want to repeat. So let me copy this code. Control C, Control V, Shift F1. So you can see this. I will explain you. Don't worry. This code, where it is, and loop and end method. Let me control click here. Okay, I don't need this two things. Let me do Control Z. Control Z. Let me come back. I copied wrongly, I think so. Oh, I copied a lot. Let me copy till here only. Control C. Customer ID I don't want to validate. This is only. Control V. Shift F1. One more important thing. If you are using Eclipse, always use this ABAP code cleaner, automated ABAP code cleaner. You just click on that. It will make your code nicer and looking, and all the comment will be written very well, and everything will look good. It will be the advanced version of your Pretty Printer, you can say. If you want to install, you have to go Windows, you have to go in install new software, and you have to click on this particular link. What is that? I have added ABAP cleaner. Yeah, this one. I will put this particular link in my video description, and you have to put this particular link here, this HTTP, and you have to select this one and add this particular extension. Then you can see this particular ABAP code cleaner option in your Eclipse, or you can do Control 4 also. It will work automatically and it will do the ABAP code clean. Your code will look nice. This is the additional tip from this particular video. Let me do Control F3 and let me quickly explain what I did in the validations. I have already explained in the many scenario, but it's very simple. As I told you, in the validations we will be having the key field, and since we are taking this particular validation from the travel entity, the travel UID will be the key field, and failed and reported structure we have to fill as part of the error message. So what we want to validate? We want to validate the customer. So we have to read the customer from our transactional buffer. We have to read all the values of the customer from the database, and we have to see whatever the transactional buffer those customer is available, those are valid or not. That how we have to compare. For reading the data from the transactional buffer, we have used the EML read statement, where we read the data customer ID. For the keys, for the travel UIDs, those all the customer IDs we have read, and once we read this data, we are just getting the non-duplicate customer ID. If we are calling this particular validations from the EML statement, I don't want to pass the multiple customer ID in my select statement, so I just map the customer ID. I created the local table, and wherever the customer ID is initial, those data I have deleted, and I pass this particular table in my for all entries table, a for all entries statement of the demo customer select, and I'm getting the customers from the database. Once I got the data customer from the database, I'm looping through travel. This travel is nothing which we have read here. Basically it will be having the travel ID and customer ID. I'm checking. This is the most important thing. I will explain this 475 and 476 and 477 line after some time. But what we are doing basically as part of validation, we are checking if customer ID is initial, we are raising the message. For that, we are appending that particular transactional key in the failed structure. That we have to do mandatorily whenever you are raising the error message. So till that, the error is coming from this particular entity. Now, as part of the reported message, since we want that this particular message should be state message. For that, what we are doing, we are passing the state area. So, and we can give any name here, is a state area name, and inside this state area, so state message is always bound either from the instance or from the entity. This is the instance bound, so we are passing the which travel UID this particular message is belong, and we are passing the message data using the message class, which we did in my previous videos also, and we are passing the additional information in the element. Why we are passing this element info? So that particular field will be highlighted on the front end, and we will see this is the error message coming due to the customer ID is invalid, and we are passing this message through reported structure. And this is how, whenever the customer ID is initial, we are getting the error. The most important thing, as soon as user enter the correct value, then also the customer ID validation will trigger. That time, first what we have to do, we have to invalidate the state message. To do the invalidations, we are using this particular statement. Whenever you are using the state messages, this is very important thing. First invalidate the existing messages, then create again messages in that particular state area. So how to invalidate? Just don't pass the message and other details, just pass the transactional key and the state area which belong to that particular state message. It will invalidate. There will be no messages in the backend, those for related to this particular instance. And if you want to add again those messages, if again the customer ID is invalid, or then you can add back here. But that is the very important thing. First you invalidate those messages, then add back. So that is the most important thing whenever you are using the state messages. Here we can use the transition message also. Just remove the state area, it will become the transition message, and this code is not required. From here it is remove the state area, it will become the transition message, because it's a managed applications. We didn't convert it till now in draft. In the draft we will be needing this particular state area. That is the reason we are passing the state area. We will see why we will be needing in my next videos, where we are converting this application to the draft application. But to make why to convert, that time I converted today itself this particular message to state messages, and this concept is very important. And if one thing, this should be initial, and another thing, the value itself is wrong, that I am checking. If there is some value, then we are checking from the LT valid customer, which we got from this particular select statement. That customer should be available. If it is not available, then we are displaying again error message. We are passing the in the failed structure we have filled, and the reported structure we have filled. This time we are passing different message. Previously enter customer ID, and this time we are passing the customer is unknown. This we are using the existing, this is the exception class. You can create the your own customized exception class, but in this case this is the demo exception class is already available, where we have the some of the variable field also. Customer ID I am passing, and the severity that is already told. If it is error, you have to pass error. If it is warning, you have to pass the warning. So this is how we are raising this particular message. Let me do Control F3 and test quickly how this validate customer is working in our application. So for that, let me go to the service binding and select the travel and preview it. So whenever you are facing some issue, you have to either delete entire travel account, or what you can do, entire trial account means you have to come to your account, and you can delete entire trial account and recreate your account once it get expired. You can see currently for me 50 days is still pending, but in your case, if it is got expired, then you can delete and recreate again. Or if you are getting this kind of issue which I got, just delete the ABAP instance and recreate, it will work for you. So that's how you have to work. Let me click on go button. Let me close these sessions. Now it is not required, and click on any booking entity. Click on edit button. Let's change some customer ID which is not valid. I want to pass something 99999. I will pass. You can see here we are getting on the screen itself. Here validation not triggered. But what it is triggered then? Let me show you. Okay. So this we have to remove to check how validations are working or not. So for that, let me go to my code again, and let me go to my projection entity ZC travel AD. And here we have already put one annotations called use for validation. So what it is happening, whenever we are getting the data from travel entity, you are getting the data from this customer also, and you already validated on the front end side itself. So that is the reason we got the data here itself. If we are clicking on enter, value does not exist, because if you go to the inspect and you go to the network tab, and if you refresh the data, and you click on edit button and change your customer again, suppose I want to change again 999. Let me see, last request dollar base is here, o data. Let me filter again o data here. I don't think so it got filtered. Okay, and let me change 9999 again. No, 999 not here. I will change here, back 9999. You can see one dollar batch happen here. So where we are getting the get passenger also we are getting. Before that, payload what we are passing, there are three things: get booking status, get passenger, and get passenger something else. I think get passenger we are getting the customer ID. You can see get passenger is the entity name we have renamed, but they are getting the customer ID here itself whenever we are going to the edit mode. So here he validated here itself. To validate from our validations, if we don't want to use this annotation is not used, or if you are using this particular application from the another BO you are using as a API, in that case the front end validations will be not there. So in that case this kind of validation will not work. For that, let me comment this one, customer ID one. Where is the customer ID validation? This one, use for validations equal to true. Let me do control F3. Still error is there? No. Control F3. Oh, error is there. Now it got removed. Let me refresh my application. You can see get passenger is calling. Let me refresh my application. Click on edit button. This time only $1 batch happen. You can see booking status, because customer ID we didn't pass the front end validations. Let me now change some different value. You can see it is accepting, but validation didn't trigger. It is accepted the value. Once I click on save button, I didn't put the breakpoint. It will go to the back end. Since you change this field, on change we have already validations. Validations always will trigger on save only. Once you click on save, first the modify sequence, or we can say transactional phase, will trigger, then the save sequence will trigger both together. And one of the guy I saw comment, he is giving the error that he is thinking like that validation along with the side effect will trigger immediately. No, validation with the side effect will trigger once you click on the save. Even you do enter here, it will not trigger immediately. Once you click on save button, then only it will trigger. If you have draft, then there is the different thing, because it will be updating the frequently backend. But in this case we don't have. If we have managed applications, if you just enter the value, it didn't trigger validation till now. We have to click on save button, then only in the backend your validation will trigger. It will say customer ID is unknown. This is coming from the state messages which you have defined. And how it come back? It didn't come back during the modify. It is a part of, you have read back the data. You can see, if you see here, you have read back the data. Once you modified the data, you have read back the data. Get passenger is there. Once again, what is that? Yeah, that they are calling get passenger, but you have read back the data as part of this particular applications. As part of result, you get those along with the, when you are reading back the data once you have saved. As I told you, if you see my unmanaged scenario video also, once we do the modify statement, at the last the read will be performed. From that read, those state messages are coming. Even you convert the transition message, it will come immediately. No need to worry. Here it will no impact the messages transition or messages state. There will be no impact. But during the draft, it will get impacted. That I will show you how it will be impacted when we discuss more about the draft. So let me close it and give some valid values. Some valid value I will give and click on save. It will be saved successfully. And same way you can validate the agency name as well. Like you have validated the customer ID, you can validate the agency ID as well. For that we have to write the almost similar code. Instead of reading the data from the customer, we have to read the data from the agency table. We have to read the travel entity, we have to pass the all the unique agency IDs, and we have to see if it is initial, we have different kind of message, and if it is what we can say, if there is that agency ID is not existing, then there is a different kind of message. That also you can implement. I will write this code and put on my GitHub. You can check from there. And same way we can do for the begin date and end date also. A date should not be initial and begin date should not be greater than end date. Those kind of validations also we can do, and that is very simple validation. Again, we have to fill the message will differ here, other thing will be similar. So now let me go to the one validation I will pick from the booking entity. So for doing the one validation from the booking entity, there is a little bit difference. That is the reason I'm showing that validation here. So what we have to do, again we have to copy this Control C. I usually not copy paste the code, but writing this code, simple code, again it will take too much time. Control F3, this one, and the same how we validated the customer ID from the travel entity, we will validate the customer ID in the booking entity as well. So let me come here at last after the side effect. Control V, customer ID we will write, and we write the validations. Again simple validation name on save, and it should trigger during the create operation and whenever the customer ID will change. Except F1, this is during the booking. I have to write inside the booking entity, and this method will be implemented in the booking class. So let me do Control F3 and let me do Control F1, and it will ask for the this particular method, and this method this time it will be implemented in the booking class. In booking class we already have 3 methods. This will be the 4th method, validate customer. Little bit code difference is there, almost similar code, but this time since it is triggering from the booking ID, so we will be having the key instead of travel UID, we will be having the booking UID. Other things, other interface are similar, we will be having the failed and reported structure. So again the simple code, let me quickly write and explain you guys. Little bit difference is there. Control C, Control V. So what is the difference? Step F1. So instead of writing the instead of reading the travel entity, this time we will read the booking entity, and we will get because in the key we have the booking UID, we will read all the bookings, and I need the travel ID also. As I told you in my previous theory video, why we will be needing the travel ID, because I want to link back my child entity with the root entity or the parent entity if it is available. So in this case the root entity and parent entities are same, so I want to link back. So that link I will get using the read entity statement. I will read by association that particular travel, and I will get only link data. I don't want entire result. I want to get for this booking UID, what is the travel UID, that I want to get. That I can get using the link data you have to use instead of the result data. That link I got, and the same way we got the unique customer here. Once we got the unique customer, we got all the customer from the database. We stored here in the valid customer table. And here again 2 messages. There is a little bit difference here. One message here, since again we are using the for the booking we are using the customer validation, we have given the state area, and before giving the new state messages, I just want to invalidate the existing messages that I am doing in the 133 and 134 line, and I am creating I filled the failed structure, and here I am filling the reported structure. The one major difference here in the travel entity, when you are raising and when you are raising from the booking entity, this is the only difference. Other things, everything as it is. So just you have to pass the link. So you have to pass in the In the path you have to pass, if you go here, let me correct the little bit this, or you can do source code clean with ABAP cleaner. So you can see you have to pass this particular, in the path you have to pass the parent entity, so GR travel ID, or you can say root entity TKY that you have got from the travel booking link. That is the reason we have this additional read in this particular child entity. Apart from this thing, it is similar to the our travel entity customer validation method. This is the additional thing we have to pass when we are raising from the booking entity. Same goes here. If customer is not valid, we are passing this additional thing here as well, and other things all are similar. So let me activate this one, Control F3, and let me test this as well quickly. This time let me go here, let me close this one, let me go to the booking entity. Inside the booking entity, it's taking a little bit time. Let me click on edit button. If I pass some wrong customer, values does not exist, again it is raising from where? From the our UI annotations, from the consumption layer. So for that, again I have to disable those messages from the GC booking underscore AD. So again we are doing validations. And one more important thing, in my last video the value help was not working. This is the standard value help, demo I underscore flight standard value help. There is an issue in that standard value help. So instead of taking the value from the standard value help, I directly took from the table. That also you can see, you can do, and it is now working perfectly. So that you have to make sure, just instead of using the standard value help, you can create either your own value help, because in that case you have given the, in the standard value help you have given the again object model annotations that is not coming properly, and this value help is not proper. That is the reason it is not working. So I, instead of using this particular value help, I have used my directly table, and I validated using the table only. And here again I want to remove the customer validation, this user validation equal to true, to check really my validation is working or not. Control F3. So this, instead of using this value help, we have to use this table. And again, this you already know from how it will use for the result. It is used for the filtering the data and result as well, and these two are using for the result. This is the additional binding syntax. This no need to worry. I will create the separate series on the particular list report page, and the front end part, what all are the different annotations are there. Fiori part, that will be different series rather than wrap. There I will explain this all the things, or mostly frequently use all the annotations I will try to explain in that series. And in this series I don't want to focus, I just want to focus on the wrap concepts. Control F3, and let me go again, refresh it. I want to validate from my validation instead of UI annotation. So you can validate here again, and we can check that our validation is working or not. That is the reason I just want to do that thing. Let me click on edit button, and let me write some invalid ID. It is accepting now, and I have to click on save button. Then my validation method will trigger. In backend it validates the value, and I will see that validation is unknown. And one more thing I can do, I will not pass any value, and I click and enter. Let me click on save button. So customer ID, enter a customer ID. I'm getting again this message from the backend. And I just want to show you one more thing. Initially itself, if I remove the customer ID, when I go to the edit mode, if I remove the customer ID and click on enter, I'm not getting any message as of now. Even this is mandatory, I'm not getting error message. Once you click, validation will trigger, then only I will get that particular message. And if you don't implement the validation, even this particular static mark is there, there will be no impact. This static marks coming due to the we have defined in behavior definition, this particular field is mandatory. It is only implicated on the UI side, as I told you in my main scenario also. To work this validation, you have to mandatorily implement the validation, then only it will actually validate the data. So let me fill the correct value. and save. Again, you can see if you have to refresh to see the correct name of that particular customer ID instead of pane, or you might have to implement the side effect to immediately see the customer name. That also I will explain again in my some other when we see the Fury list report page. Actually, we are really working in the front end. I don't want to go in again in that depth. So that is the thing. And apart from that, we did one at the booking level. Let me do one implementation at the booking supplement level as well. So same way you can do the booking level customer, airline ID and connection ID and flight date validation. These make you can make mandatory, and you can do the validation. This is the code I will again give you. And but in the booking supplement level, we will pass this one. Supplement ID is there. There I will do the validation. Instead of customer ID, we don't have anyway. We will do the booking supplement layer. So let me go to the my base behavior definition, go to the booking supplement. After the side effect, customer ID, this is booking, and this is the booking supplement. Control V, shift F1. Okay, supplement ID, let me put comma. Control F3, control 1, validate supplement, control 1. This will be implemented in my booking supplement class, because we have a different class for each entity. All the validations will be implemented for their own class or own behavior pool. Let me do control F3 here as well. And this again, I am copy pasting. Again, I didn't explain this code, but I will try to quickly explain. Control C and validate supplements. Control V, shift F1, control 4 also you can do to use the code cleanup with the ABAP automated tool. This is very useful. So in this, we are validating the supplement ID. The only difference is that when we are raising the message, I will show you entire message, but when we are raising the message along with the parent ID, root ID, you have to pass the parent ID as well. This is the path will change. Otherwise, the raising message will become as is. The element supplement ID we have to change. We have to change the state area. Those things obviously we have to change. But additionally, what we have to pass, since it is the grandchild entity, we have to pass the parent entity as well and the root entity as well. So that is the only thing will change. Otherwise, the things are same. Let me explain quickly. So what we are doing, since it is the validate supplement method, so here will be the supplement UUID will be there. So booking supplement UUID is there. Based on that, I will read the supplement ID which I want to validate. And if it get failed, if there is no supplement IDs are there, then I'm filling in the failed structure obviously. And if it is supplement ID is there, then what we are doing, we want to get the link. Two link we have to get this time. One with the parent or one with the root. So one we have to read by the association booking, and we have to read by for the parent, and for the root we have to read by association travel for the root. So we have the link data for the booking as well and travel as well. These two data we will fill in my percentage path derived element. Other things I will check that those supplements are available in the database in the supplement ID table like we did for the customer, and we will check the supplement is initial. Before going that, we will invalidate the existing messages, and we will check the supplement is initial, then we will give the different message. We will fill obviously failed structure, we will fill obviously the reported structure. Only the additional thing, this path will change a little bit. Other thing is almost similar in validation. There is nothing much is to do, just we have to fill accurately the reported message. That we have to do. If you don't fill this one, it will not work. The path structure you will not fill, it will not work appropriately. So this you have to do, make sure. And if it validate supplement ID is wrong, then you have to validate, you have to give different messages. Other things are there similar. Control F3, shift F1, and let me check quickly if we have supplement ID. We use already the validation on the UI part or not. That we can see the consumption view. ZC booking supplement, not ZR, we did in the ZC. So supplement ID we have used the Yeah, use for validation we use. Let me remove this one and put the comma here, back, Control F3. Now let me go to my application where we can have the, let me create this time, because the creation time also the supplement ID should work. Product ID, let me give some product ID here. There is no, F4 is not working for this booking supplement. Okay, it's working, and its price is coming automatically. So that is the supplement ID. So let me give some, if I create here, it will work. Let me don't give any ID here. Oh, I didn't refresh the application. Let me refresh first. That is very important for me, because I made this product ID is mandatory, which is not showing currently. Now it is mandatory, you can see. And let it be blank. Let pass some, let's just click on create button. The validation will trigger, enter the product ID. If you would have not done the validation, then you would have not got this error. So let me pass this one, pass some valid values, and let me click on create button. We have validation on create, that is the reason it is working. Let me go to edit button and change some different value which is not existing. Some give random number here and click on save button. Product ID is unknown. This is coming from the validation again. I can put breakpoint also and show you, but that you can try out. It's very easy. These are the state messages. It is coming from there only, so no need to worry. And something else I want to show you. Yeah, that's it. We did one from the travel, one from the booking, one from the booking supplement. I will other validations also I can do almost similar code. Why to explain repetitively? So that is the reason I didn't explain each and every validations. But with that, I will write down this code and I will put on the GitHub link, so you will get. With that, we prepared till now our managed applications. Managed application. Now we will convert this application to the draft application from next video onwards. Before going to those videos, please like this videos, share this videos with other, whatever you are feeling, write it down in comment section. With that, thank you and happy learning.